two of them. Oh, there's contact. There's contact. And there's contact between Cheryl Paul and Campbell Pilling. Good morning and welcome to the Daniel Ricciardo Series. We're here at Clay Pigeon between Yeovil and Dorchester on the south coast of the United Kingdom for round one of this year's DRS Series. 60 drivers all looking towards the 2022 season with aspirations of lifting the trophy and the title of Daniel Ricciardo Series champion. For those that don't know the format, we've three classes with us this weekend. The first of those, the juniors, the DRS 100s, and they'll be coming onto circuit for their qualifying session in just a few moments' time. We've also got our smallest, our youngest of the drivers this weekend, the DRS62s, and then our senior category, the DRS 125s. We're at Clay Pigeon, probably the more southern circuit in the UK, as we said, right on the south coast, and we're certainly not having south coast weather at the moment as the rain continues to fall here. We don't really expect an awful lot of change either in terms of the weather. For those that are unfamiliar with the Clay Pigeon circuit, it's one of the most historic ones in the UK, it has to be said. It starts with one of the most famous corners. Is it a corner, Billy's Blind? It's more of a kink, isn't it? It kinks left and then into a double apex right. But Billy's Blind is where they will all start their lap here of the Clay Pigeon circuit. They'll then head up to the S's, around the right, left, right, and then down to Sturmey Straight and Hans Hairpin, named after Neil Hann. Onto Buttons, Top Bend, and then to complete another lap. It's not the longest of laps here at Clay Pigeon, but lots of overtaking opportunities around this southwest-based circuit. So the rain continues to, well, it's not really pour, is it? It's more of a drizzle at the moment, more of a light drizzle, but the circuit is certainly wet. It's not really put enough rain down to cause any sort of real standing water around this Clay Pigeon circuit. I know that the horseshoe generally congregates a little bit of water on the inside, but that looks fairly clear at the moment. So whilst we've got some patches that are a little bit wetter than others, it's more just a little bit greasy out there, and the drivers on there, all on their grooved wet tyres, all trying to find the best possible lines, the best possible amount of grip. You can see the tyres there. You can also see that the extensions on the front hubs, just to make that car as wide as it can. The theory goes that the wider you make the front wheels, the more turning, the more grip you get. You'll see they narrow the back of the car as well, just to try and make it as grip friendly for the drivers as it possibly can be. Drivers with their umbrellas on. We're looking at Ewan Scott, fourth in last year's championship. Will certainly fancy his chances this time round, as will Oscar Walsh, the third seed. Nat Johnston, the fifth seed. Benjamin Baker, the seventh seed. Daxton Groves, the ninth seed. And then we've got Jack Robinson, last year's vice champion. He's wearing the DRS plate this year. He won that DRS one-off event last month. And again, you'll see the two different plates. The yellow plates are super drivers, and the black plates are academy drivers for the DRS 62s. These are youngest of all the categories this weekend. They'll all squabble, not necessarily for position just yet, but they'll certainly all squabble for track position. They'll squabble for fastest lap. Remember, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Get involved with the Daniel Ricciardo Series. Leave us your comments about the driver that you want to see do well this weekend. Already some support on Facebook for Harley Drake. Eldon Hullum as well, receiving some good luck messages. I'm assuming that Daniela Sutton is the recipient of a good luck message from one of our stars from last year. Alicia Parmowski has been on Facebook and made a comment to one of her ex-rivals. So get involved on YouTube and Facebook. We are live today with all the action from round one of the Daniel Ricciardo Series. Again, onto YouTube, where we've got lots of support for Sherry Ann Powell. Kai Newman also receiving some support. So get involved with us, leave us your comments. Tell us who you want to see victorious this weekend. I'll do our best to keep them clean as well, so we can refer to them. Well, the Daniel Ricciardo Series DRS62s are on circuit then for their qualifying session. 10 minutes for them to work themselves out into some sort of order. Let's see where our early pace is being shown. It's being shown with Oscar Walsh. Not really a surprise there. Third in last year's championship, was at the sharp end of most of the grand finals in a really well-contested 2021 series. We've got 21 of these DRS62 drivers out there at the moment. Just looks a little bit brighter, doesn't it? I'm just going to check some puddles and see how much. No, we've still got some rain out there. Certainly the sky looks a little bit brighter if we look towards the forecast as well. It's meant to, it's certainly going to remain raining until probably early afternoon, but I wonder if we might just get a little bit of respite from that rain after lunch. Remains to be seen. So Ewan Scott now jumps ahead of Oscar Walsh. So Scott, fourth in last year's championship, 46.499 is, well, it's a couple of tenths quicker than Oscar Walsh. Ashton Redpath into third and is the highest rookie as well, closely followed by Cruz Dalton. Then it's Oscar Cole, Nat Johnston, Harley Drake, Lucas Ezza, Benjamin Baker, and Walsh goes fastest. I think you're going to see a change at the front here every lap or so at the moment, because they are just getting used to the conditions once more. Just times dropping and tumbling with every lap. I'm just a little look at Nat Johnston as he went through the S's and to the Han hairpin. Who's he chasing at the moment? So that's the way they'll want to do it. They want to try and find themselves a little bit of a tow or a little bit of a chase. And he's got a very good chase in front of him because he's chasing Oscar Walsh, who's fastest. So let's just see if Nat Johnston can use that little bit of slipstream or that little bit of an advantage. It's always, always easier to chase in a kart. No doubt about that. Gives you a reference point, gives you the little motivation you need sometimes. It's always tougher to lead from the front, especially in a series where all the equipment is so equally matched. Remember the standardisation of engines, karts, tyres here. The emphasis absolutely on driver ability, driver progression, driver development in this series. So Ewan Scott then, fastest on circuit so far, 46.3, 300ths of a second ahead of Oscar Walsh. Nat Johnston, Benjamin Baker, Oscar Cole, and then Ashton Redpath is 6th. Who else has made some inroads in the last couple of laps? Tyler Wilson up 3 places to 11th. Aaron Haywood up a couple of places to 10th, and Bailey Wolfe, the Daniel Ricciardo Academy winner, is up into 16th. Indigo Pickering is up a place into 19th as well. And then Benjamin Baker up another 3 places to 4th. 47 or 46.9 for him. Around about still 9/10 of a second slower than the fastest driver out there. The times are coming down every single lap, so if that's an indication of the circuit getting quicker, or the drivers just understanding the way around this circuit a little bit better with every lap that passes. Mechanical flag for Dorian Malek. Let's see if we can find out why. 1, 2, 4. Let me have a little look and see where Dorian Malek is and see why he's got that mechanical flag. It looks like a loose front bumper, I am reliably informed. So that he will have to come in. So the technical flag means that the black flag with a orange disc means that the driver has to come into Parc Fermé, into the pits, through the pit lane on the way into Top Bend, have that mechanical fault replaced or repaired. Top Bend's something we're going to talk about a lot today, isn't it? The final corner here. What I would say about the final corner here, it's not actually that good an overtaking opportunity. It's sort of a mid-speed corner. It's not a heavy braking zone. So you'll probably see drivers maybe have to make a move maybe into the horseshoe or into the hand hairpin and try and hold on to that lead through Top Bend. It's not actually that difficult to defend into the final corner here. What it does do, that if you do defend into the final corner, it does mean that you leave yourself liable to the undercut on the way down, the slingshot on the way down this long start-finish straight that takes you towards the start-finish line and before the entry into Billy's Blind. So that is it's usually more of a set-up corner, the Top Bend here, rather than a last gasp overtaking manoeuvre. But let's see how things develop. Certainly it'd be very different in the wet than it is in the dry. I don't think we're going to see much dry running here on this first Sunday of the season. Round 1 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series. Who can get their nose in front? Who can take a lead? Who can take the championship lead off to Wilton Mill in, well, what is it, 2 or 3 weeks' time? 3 weeks' time before we head to Wilton. At the moment, the DRS62s are led by Ewan Scott. Oscar Walsh still second. Jack Robinson now up to 3rd, and Nat Johnston back up into 4th place. Benjamin Baker drops to 5th. Ashton Redpath is 6th. Bailey Wolf made a couple of places up again, back up into 9th place, second of the rookie drivers, the academy drivers. Ashton Redpath, the first of those academy drivers with the black plates. The 105 of Ashton Redpath is 6th. Cruz Dalton is 10th at the moment, and then Oscar Roach moves up to 13th place. Dorian Malek is into the pits to have that mechanical, that front bumper sorted. He's 17th at the moment. Not a good session for Daxton Groves, is it, at the moment? He's done 9 laps, but he's only 18th fastest, just ahead of Indigo Pickering. And Jensen Woodhouse and Lewin Aid is the last of the runners so far, 21st place, as Oliver Harrison moves up another couple into 11th. So Nat Johnston, the only real mover in the top 5 at the moment. We've got just over a minute, haven't we, as we have a look out onto circuit. As Robinson goes faster, so 45.8. He's left it late as Jack Robinson, but he's getting the job done at the moment. Just around half a tenth of a second, so 600ths faster than Ewan Scott. Have we got any purple sectors out there? Well, Scott's just on a fastest first sector. Oh, here we go then. What's Ewan Scott got up his sleeve in response? Has he gone faster? No, he hasn't. In fact, he's lost a place. Oscar Walsh has just pipped him just around about 200ths quicker, around 100th slower than Jack Robinson. So the front 3 are really turning the screw here. They are, well, they're a good quarter of a second quicker than Nat Johnston, the front 3. Benjamin Baker is 5th, Ashton Redpath 6th, Oscar Cole 7th, Harley Drake 8th, and then Bailey Wolf and Cruz Dalton, the rest of the top 10. Ethan Whitlam has made a couple of places up to 13th as well, and Luke Eze just made 5 places up to 11th with his personal best, but that's some 1.3 seconds slower than Jack Robinson. So Robinson, Walsh and Scott, 1, 2 and 3, they have completed their last lap, and Scott goes fastest and then Walsh goes fastest. So Scott, who got the advantage as he went over to complete his final lap, and then Oscar Walsh has now gone through ahead of him. He was tucked right up in behind him as well, made good use of the slipstream. Has Jack Robinson come through yet? Where is he? Let's have a quick look out there. He's not showing us. Oh, he is showing us completed his final lap. So on the last lap of the qualifying session, Jack Robinson was bumped down from first to third. Oscar Walsh then fastest, a 45.685. He left it very late indeed, but he found a way through to claim the fastest lap in qualifying, subject to any post-race scrutineering checks, of course. So Walsh draws first blood for the DRS62s. Scott in second place. Oh, he was just about a tenth of a second behind, and then less than a tenth of a second back from him to Jack Robinson, who didn't do his fastest lap on the last lap, but Walsh and Scott did. Nat Johnston, fourth fastest. Benjamin Baker, fifth fastest. The fastest of the DRS Academy drivers was Ashton Redpath in sixth. Oscar Cole, seventh. And Harley Drake, eighth fastest. Bailey Wolf was ninth fastest. And then Cruz Dalton in 10th. Lucas Ezza, 11th. And Aaron Hewood in 12th. A little bit further down, a couple of seeded drivers not had the best of sessions. Oliver Harrison, 6th seed, but down in 14th. And Daxton Groves not getting to grips with the slippery conditions here, down in 17th place. So, if qualifying's anything to go by, we could have some very, very interesting heats and finals for the DRS 62s. So, heat number one for the DRS 62s, our junior class, our youngest drivers. We've just got one that cannot get started. The 1-1, is it the 116? Looks to be DRS 62 of, oh, it's a 110. So the 110 of Indigo Pickering. Just got to wait now just to make sure that everyone else has gone past safely. Indigo can then join the back of this group. And there you have it. So we'll join the back. We'll get into formation with the rest of the DRS 62 drivers, and they will come round to start this first heat. 8 laps plus that one final, 8 minutes plus that one final lap. So remember, you can show your support for the drivers today on YouTube, Facebook. Just looking at the comments, there's some support for the number 55 of Lucas Ezza from Terry Skinner. So Lucas starts on the inside of the 5th row this time. They'll be led round. They're not going to go this time. They'll be led round by Oscar Walsh and Ewan Scott on that front row. Then it's Jack Robinson, Nat Johnston, row 2. Ashton Redpath, Benjamin Baker, row 3. Oscar Cole, Harley Drake, row 4. And Bailey Wolf and Aaron Haywood on row 5. So another formation lap for these young DRS62 drivers. Their first heat of the day. The fastest driver in the qualifying session this morning was indeed Oscar Walsh, and that's why the number 3 will have the best line into the first corner. Now, can he find a way through? We've seen a couple of times the driver on the outside of the front row have the best way into Billy's blind. There's probably actually not that much of an advantage from having pole position here. It's such a long way down this main straight. There's little kinks and turns on the way into Billy's blind as well. I'm never actually sure whether it is the best line to have, but he's made the most of it as Oscar Walsh, as the lights go green. Well, he did make the most of it then, but then down the inside went Nat Johnston to try and find a way through. I think Johnston may have come through into second place. He has, but he's under some pressure from Ewan Scott. So Walsh leads, Scott and Johnston second and third. Oh, down the inside goes Johnston, gets it all kind of sideways, but just about manages to hold on. There is a spinner in the right-hander. There's 2 spinners in the right-hander. One of them is parked up on the entrance. Looks like they're beached and can't get through. There was first and second. There's the driver on the right hand of the screen who's just getting restarted now. And there's the spinner, which was the 91 of Tyler Wilson. And the other driver who exited stage left quite quickly, I think, was the 105 of Ashton Redpath, who's just rejoined. It was, because he's at the back of the field at the moment. So Oscar Walsh, Ewan Scott, Nat Johnston, Benjamin Baker. Where is the DRS plate of Jack Robinson down in 6th place? It's not the start that he would have wanted, and he's got some work to do to get on terms with the front 2. Got a penalty for 127 of Jensen Woodhouse for jumping the start. Don't see many of them nowadays, do you? So I suppose the benefit of having timing system. Oh, and there's some contact between a couple of drivers at the back of the field. So there will be a penalty for Jensen Woodhouse, who's currently running in 13th place. Jack Robinson is up 1 place into 5th at the expense of Oscar Cole. Now, who else has made decent inroads? Oscar Roach up into 15th. Daxton Groves is 16th. Indigo Pickering's made a couple of places at the back of the field up to 19th place. So the leaders then, just around 2 minutes of this 8 minutes plus a lap race has gone. And it's the front 2, almost as we expected, Walsh and Scott. Now, remember, Jack Robinson was top of the timesheets in qualifying for an awful long time. He was the fastest driver for probably about 8 or 9 minutes of the 10-minute session. It was only right at the end of the session where he was dumped down to 3rd. But when it comes to race pace, Robinson has found himself down in 5th place. He's tucked up behind Benjamin Baker, who goes through the S's now. There's your race leader. Contact warning for Tyler Wilson. That's probably that instant we saw earlier on. Tyler Wilson down in 20th place. And the move then over. Here comes the DRS plate. He's alongside. So the battle for Benjamin Baker and Robinson for 4th and 5th is ongoing. And down the inside goes Robinson. Baker has to relinquish the place. And Robinson is up into 4th. Down through the right-hander of Top Bend. Down the hill then comes the race leader Oscar Walsh. The gap between himself and Ewan Scott is half a second, 0.567 of a second. Walsh did his personal best, sorry, Scott did his personal best last time, 46.5 seconds. The fastest lap of the race so far, 45.8 from Ewan Scott. Nat Johnston 6/10 slower than that. So these front 2, 45.9 fastest lap for Walsh, 45.8 fastest lap for Scott. But the drivers behind not able to replicate that sort of pace as Robinson moves up into 4th. His next target is the number 5 of Nat Johnston. So Robinson is showing decent pace, 46 flat for him. Fastest lap. He's now chasing Johnston down. He's within a kart length or so as they go through the S's there. This is the battle for 3rd and 4th. Nat Johnston in 3rd, the number 5. 4th place for the DRS plate of Jack Robinson. Was certainly in contention for the championship last season. And down the inside he goes. So he takes that place, rather nonchalant, wasn't he, as he dived down the inside into the left-hander of the horseshoe. Up towards top bend they go. So the new 3rd place driver is the DRS plate of Jack Robinson. And the gap between him and 2nd place Ewan Scott is absolutely huge. So I'll be very surprised if he can reel that in the remaining 3 minutes plus a lap that we have of this race, as the new fastest lap of the race for the race leader, Oscar Walsh, a 45.8.03. That is the fastest lap of the race so far, and the gap between himself and Ewan Scott is up now to just around about 0.8 of a second, and there's a spinner, and it is Nat Johnston. So Nat Johnston spins on the way into the right-hander, so Nat Johnston's going to drop all the way down to, where's he going to come out now? Here's the incident. Did he just get it wrong? Oh yes, he does just get it wrong. Huge amount of opposite lock. We saw that earlier on, didn't we, with some of the DRS 100. It was Liam Karbalov who we saw that with earlier on. DRS 100. But that is going to drop Nat Johnston all the way down to, where is he? He's just going to come back round in a moment. Where's he rejoined? So Nat Johnston's rejoined in 10th place, so it's cost him 6 or 7 places. That little spin under braking, really treacherous, isn't it, going down into the Han hairpin. It is slightly off camber. It's a long sweeping corner as well. You've got to be ever so careful on the brakes, and it's caught out Nat Johnston last time round. He's lost 6 places. He's rejoined in 10th. The advantage of that, or the benefactor of that, is Benjamin Baker, Oscar Cole, Bailey Wolfe, Harley Drake and Lucas Ezza. They've all moved up into 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th respectively, as Tyler Wilson and Indigo Pickering have both been into the pits in the last couple of laps as well. So then, we've got 90 seconds or so to go. There is Oscar Walsh just dispatching of a back marker, the race leader. No particular issues for him there. And the gap between himself, and could be a little battle going on here for 2nd and 3rd, because I said Jack Robinson would have too much to do to get on terms with Ewan Scott. He's closed that gap now. God, 6/10 he took out last time round. He did a 45.9, and he's within a couple of kart lengths, isn't he? How long has he got left? He's going to have 2 laps to go, I think. Maybe he might just get 3 laps, because there's a minute remaining on the time. So keep an eye on this battle between Scott and Robinson. 2nd and 3rd, there's no question around the race leader. Oscar Walsh has just got to keep that DRS kart circulating. He's just got to keep it in the right direction. He has a long look over his right shoulder as he heads out of the Han hairpin. This is the battle then, 2nd and 3rd, through the left-hander of the horseshoe. You can see the contrasting racing lines that they both choose to take. A little bit wider from, or a lot wider from Ewan Scott. Down this long start-finish straight, they kink left and then try and stay left on the way into Billy's blind. A long right-hander, and then they enter the S's, which is just about where they are now. Take a huge chunk of curb on the way in, huge chunk of curb on the way out. So there'll be 2 laps to go here. The time is just a lap, so a lap and a half for these two to squabble over 2nd and 3rd. Although looks quite flat when you look from the side. There's some nice little undulations around this Clay Pigeon racetrack. Here is the battle then. 2nd and 3rd, Scott and Robinson. Baker, Cole and Drake, 4th, 5th and 6th. Bailey Wolfe up to 7th on the last lap. Nat Johnston's making a couple of places as well. He's back up to 8th. Last lap then for these two. Oscar Walsh then leads. He's got a handsome advantage, 4.5 seconds. That's a huge advantage in a 8-minute kart race. Is there going to be a change between these two? Last couple of chances to overtake for Jack Robinson. He's not quite close enough, is he, to get past Ewan Scott. He gets a decent run on the way out of the hairpin. Will he go to the inside? No, because Scott covers it off. It's going to be one corner, I think. Although he goes down the inside, Scott's from very, very wide. He's now got to defend, and they'll go into top bend together. Has he got away down the inside? I don't think he has. It's always fairly straightforward to defend. It'll be a drag race between these two as they come down the hill towards the start-finish line, and it is indeed Ewan Scott who holds on to second place. Third is Jack Robinson. No question of our race winner, Oscar Walsh, is long gone at the front of this field. So Walsh, Scott, Robinson, three drivers you associate with the top few placings in DRS62, and they've done it again in that order. Benjamin Baker comes home in fourth, Oscar Cole in fifth, Harley Drake a good drive into sixth. Nat Johnston is seventh, Bailey Wolfe is eighth, and the top of the academy drivers as well, Oliver Harrison ninth, Lucas Eza comes home in 10th place. Pre-final for the DRS 62s on the grid and just about ready to go. We are scheduled for a 3 o'clock start, so by my calculations, we've got about 2 minutes to go before we get underway. The umbrellas are up because the weather's probably as bad as it has been all day in terms of persistent heavy rain. Not quite the extent of some of the rain we saw last year. Fullbeck in particular was a monsoon for times. Remember, we had to have a short break, didn't we, at Fullbeck, just to make sure that the conditions were safe. It's certainly not that bad, but we're certainly having some April showers in May here at Clay Pigeon. And the track conditions will change and the drivers will have to adapt and deal with new challenges. And the challenge will be for the likes of Jack Robinson, Oscar Walsh, Ewan Scott, Nat Johnston. There's the DRA of Bailey Wolf. So Oscar Walsh then, just getting himself ready. The last little pep talk. You'll have Jack Robinson breathing down his neck, no doubt, as they go over start-finish. You'll have Ewan Scott to tend with from the other side, and then Benjamin Baker. And off they go to get their formation lap underway. I think we've got one that's just struggling to get away there. It's the 1-2-1 of Harley Drake, who had a good start position as well. So Harley will want to get on terms quickly. He'll be able to take that grid slot back on the formation lap. They'll probably do two anyway. Every other group has done 2 formation laps. And I think with the changeable conditions, it's probably the best solution as well for these drivers, a safer solution, just to give them the chance to get used to some new surroundings, new weather conditions. So Oscar Walsh, courtesy of his first heat win, lines up on the inside of the front row. Ewan Scott alongside him, Jack Robinson behind him. So second formation lap, I expect them to certainly attempt to go this time. Although we have got a driver, haven't we, on the way into the hairpin where they are now. There's just a driver stuck on the outside of the circuit there. Just gonna rejoin at the back of the field. It's one of the rookie drivers. Quite well spread out at the back. They're really well formed at the front, but quite well spread out. It was the 110 of Indigo Pickering. We'll just join onto the back of this group. So Walsh, Scott, Robinson, Baker, all heading into the first corner with a view to coming out on top. Here they are then. Slowed down as they head towards the line, almost eyeballing each other. Who's going to get the advantage? Walsh then does have the inside line, managed to hold on as they head into the right-hand. There's contact behind, there's contact between 2 or 3 drivers, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, as they all stream through once more. It was contact certainly involving Nat Johnston, who'd gone down the inside. I think he just touched the back of Jack Robinson. Robinson went a little sideways, but actually it was Johnston that came off the worst, because he's now back in 7th or 8th place, just trying to get away past Harley Drake, the 1-2-1, who did manage to recover from that incident on the starting grid. So down the hill comes the leaders. And his first goal got a penalty of jump start for the 105 of Aston Redpath. Now, where's Aston Redpath in the general classification? Down in 13th at the moment. So who are the big winners on the first lap? Bailey Wolf made 3 places up into 5th. Tyler Wilson made a couple. Lewin Aid made a couple into 18th. Tyler Wilson's 14th. Who are the drivers that lost a lot? Daxton Groves lost a couple of places. 9th in last year's championship, having a real struggle here this weekend in the wet conditions at round 1 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series at Clay Pigeon. If Daxton's been off in the last lap and now having to do a bit of a recovery drive back up the field. Here is the leader, Oscar Walsh, looking to make it 2 from 2. Ewan Scott, Benjamin Baker, Jack Robinson. Now this is almost the same theme that the first race was, that where we saw Robinson just struggle a little bit in the early stages. He had to spend some time trying to find a way past Benjamin Baker and Nat Johnston at the time. He's now struggling to find a way past Baker again, and needs to do so to try and get on terms with the two who are scampering away at the front of this field. We know that Robinson has pace, there's no question or doubt about that, but he hasn't got track position at the moment. Even if he gets away past, he's absolutely squabbling, these two, aren't they? They're absolutely scrapping over third and fourth. No quarter given, none taken. And Baker just looks round and says, no, it's not that easy. You're going to have to work a bit harder. They're absolute wheel to wheel, down, start, finish. Will Baker try and go around the outside now and get the inside line into Billy's? He does. Just about misses each other as they go to the S's. Does Baker go down the inside again? No. And finally, after spending more or less a whole lap trying to go side by side with Benjamin Baker, Jack Robinson is back up into third place. So then, has he got the pace to get on terms with these front two? The gap between Walsh and Scott is around about 0.6 of a second. Another 2.5 seconds back to Jack Robinson, so it's going to have to be something pretty special to get on terms with these front two. Remember, you can follow us on social media today. You can follow us on YouTube. Comments of encouragement for several drivers out there. Lou and Aid getting some nice encouragement from Mum and Fiat. Down in 19th at the moment, Lou and Aid, the number 112. So the gap between first and second, down a little bit more, down just about a quarter of a tenth last time round. It's not going to be enough if Ewan Scott wants to get on terms with the race leader, Oscar Walsh. Does such a good job, hasn't he? Drives with real maturity, Oscar Walsh. Little peer over his shoulder there as they came out of the hairpin, just to check on the distance between himself and the chasing pack, which is led by Ewan Scott. In fact, it's not really a pack, is it? There's one chasing driver, Ewan Scott, and then there's the gap back to Jack Robinson. But it's a huge gap back to Jack Robinson. And Robinson isn't doing any sort of lap times that would suggest that he can get there. A 46.1, he's just sort of mimicking, just mirroring the lap times of the drivers ahead of him. Not making any sort of inroads at all. Benjamin Baker's a couple of tenths slower in fourth. Nat Johnston fifth. Bailey Wolf is sixth, but he's outside the 46s. A 47.1 for Bailey Wolf. Harley Drake behind them, and then Oscar Cole and Lucas Ezza. Oliver Harrison is 10th. Ashton Redpath, despite that penalty, or that penalty may still be to be applied, but he's in 11th place. Aaron Haywood's made a couple of places. And Jensen Woodhouse 16th and 17th, those two. Daxton Groves up 1 to 18th, and Oscar Roach down 3 to 19th. What's the gap between the front two? It is, well, it's another half a tenth taken. Just might run out of time here. He's got around about a quarter of the race still to go. There's a yellow flag down into the Han hairpin, which is where the leaders are now, but it's no trouble for either of those. Really treacherous down there today, isn't it, into the Han hairpin. A couple of drivers who've fallen foul under braking. Here are the front two. Who is that? Is that the 127 of Jensen Woodhouse? I think it probably is. He was in 17th place last time round. Or was it Lou and Aid? Let's just see who comes back next time round. It's a great angle, but we can't see the number, unfortunately, on that one. Will do when he lifts it up now. I'd imagine he's going to lift the back of that car up. Or the front. Now lift the car so we can see who it is. It's a shame. So we'll check on the timing screen who doesn't come round to complete another lap. Gap between the front two is pretty much stayed as it is. In fact, Oscar Walsh took another 10th away from Ewan Scott. I think it is Lewenade down there on the way into the left-hander. So, sorry, Mum and Fear. It's not quite worked out for Lewin this time. It's like he's going to be a retirement from this race. Here is your race leader. 45, he's the first driver under the 45s as well. 45.998 for Oscar Walsh. Puts another 10th between himself and Ewan Scott. Just can't get there, can he, Ewan Scott? He probably needs a couple of tenths a lap now. But Walsh just seems to have the measure of pretty much everybody out there at the moment. What sort of lap times is Jack Robinson doing? A 46 flat last time round, just comparable. The problem for Jack Robinson is he's just never had track position. Just never been able to get the starts that he's needed. It's something to maybe speak to him about later on. But he's got pace, he just can't get there in terms of track position. So over start-finish come the likes of Cruz Dalton, in 12th place, and Ethan Whitlam in 13th. Dorian Mallock 14th, Aaron Heawood is 15th. Here is the race leader, that's the gap. Around about 1.2 seconds between first and second. Then a further, well, a long way back, and this is the last lap of the race for Oscar Walsh, Ewan Scott, Jack Robinson, Benjamin Baker, all fairly processional now, it has to be said. Nat Johnston, Bailey Wolf in 6th, he's the best of the rookie drivers. Lucas Esser's the second best of the rookie drivers, and Ashton Redpath is the third best. They are 6th, 10th and 11th respectively. But for the final time now, here comes your race leader, who is about to be the race leader. He's got a couple of back markers ahead. I don't think they're going to get in the way though, because all he's got to do is go around the top corner and head down as look over his shoulder. He will win the pre-final for the DRS 65s. He will also claim another huge chunk of championship points to go with his heat win earlier on. So Oscar Walsh wins the pre-final for the DRS 62s. Ewan Scott second, Jack Robinson is third, Benjamin Baker is fourth, Matt Johnston is fifth, Bailey Wolf is sixth. Our last of the pre-finals is next up. It's the pre-final for the DRS 125s, and we'll head down to the dummy grid and speak to some of the drivers. So 21 of the DRS62 drivers all ready for their main final. A couple of drivers I'm keen to speak to. The first is Jack Robinson, just on the inside of the second row. Just some last minute tyre pressures. We won't sneak a look at what they are. But Jack, you've shown plenty of pace, but not quite the track position. So probably the start of races, I think, has probably been the issue, hasn't it? Trying to get yourself up amongst it and not involved in that sort of that little scrap with a few other drivers to stop you being up at the front when you need to use that pace.
Yeah, I think I just need to try and get as best start as I can and stay with them.
And does that give you more attention on your start? Are you very keen to try and, usually when you sat here in third place, I think what used to always run through my mind is, can I follow him through and be second by the time I come out of that first corner and try and go from there? Is that the strategy for you in this grand final?
Yeah.
And in terms of, you've already had some success this year, you're carrying the DRS plate. In terms of the ambition, is your plan to go on and try and lift this title at the end of the season?
Yeah, I think I've got a good chance.
All right, we wish you all the best. I am very keen as well to speak to the other driver who has some letters on the front of his car. So we'll go over and speak to Bailey Wolf, who's on the outside of the third row. Bailey, one of the rookie drivers this season, your first season in the competition. What a great place to be on the outside of the second row. You must be pleased with your progress so far.
Yes, I am very pleased with myself.
And what's the plan from here? Obviously, you're a black plate in amongst loads of yellow plates. So is it just to try and pick off as many of these so-called more experienced drivers as you can? And you're not a million miles from the podium here. Is that the sort of thing you should be looking at?
Yeah.
And in terms of the championship, obviously you've got your own little championship in terms of trying to be the top rookie, which I'm sure will be part of the plan. How have you found the weather conditions this weekend? It's a tricky place in the wet, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll just keep asking until I get something more than a yeah. What's the plan for the start? How many do you think you can pick off on this start?
About 1 or 2.
1 or 2 would be a good result, isn't it? And I suppose if you can get in a group with drivers at the front of these fields, it's good experience and they can drag you along, can't they? And as I say, it's all learning, and I'm sure that you will reap the benefits in further races to come. Is there a race that you're particularly looking forward to, a track that you particularly want to go to?
Yeah, Houghton Park.
Houghton Park, why is that? Because it's nearest?
Yeah.
Me too. Good man. All right, we wish you all the best. So 2 of our drivers that are carrying DRS or DRA letters this weekend because of the performance that they put on back in the race, the DRS special race last month. We're now left with 21 drivers for the first of our grand finals of the weekend here at round 1 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series at Clay Pigeon. We'll be back in a few moments' time with the final for the DRS62s. So when it all matters then, 3 grand finals for 3 different classes at round 1 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Clay Pigeon. Our trip to the South Coast is almost over, but we won't be leaving without some championship leaders, without some drivers that have the points in the bag, and we'll be scurrying off to Wilton Mill in 3 weeks' time, looking to hold on to that championship lead. Where is your money with this one? Quite a few drivers that have certainly got a very good chance. Certainly the front 4, you would certainly imagine, have all got a decent chance. They've all got shown some pace. So Walsh, Scott, Robinson, Benjamin Baker, not quite had the end product, has he? Benjamin Baker. But if he could just get in amongst them, if he could just hold on to a bit of a tour. Remember, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. You can keep in touch with us by using the comments function on both of those platforms. Lots of good luck messages for drivers. Some good luck for Harley Drake. So Harley, he has driven superbly, hasn't he? Don't know which relative that is, but Jackie giving him some words of encouragement. Starts on the inside of the 5th row. The 1-2-1. So keep an eye out for Harley Drake as they come round. The first job for them all is to try and displace the young man who's been the class of the field so far. And we can say that with an assurance and a confidence because he won the first heat. He won the pre-final. So Oscar Walsh may take some beating, it has to be said. But there are drivers out there that can do it. So Walsh on the inside of the front row. Ewan Scott is alongside him. It's number 3 and number 4. The DRS plate of Jack Robinson on the inside of the 2nd row. Benjamin Baker is on the outside of that row. We've got one car just stopped, haven't we? Just going to rejoin on the way out of the S's. It's the 110 of Indigo Pickering. So Indigo Pickering's had a few run-ins today, haven't they? They've been in a few spots of bother, but always managed to get round and always managed to rejoin. They will do onto the back of this field. So then, drag race between Walsh and Scott. 3 and 4 start. You would believe he's absolutely critical here to Jack Robinson. He has to stay in touch around these first couple of laps. He's got to get as close as he can, and he is close at the moment to Oscar Walsh. Here they go then. Here they go. Keep an eye on Nat Johnston as well. He was slightly out of formation, Nat Johnston. Here they go into the first corner. Who gets the drop then? I think they're pretty much as they were. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Baker trying to go around the outside into the S's, and he's made it stick as well. It's a horrible start for Robinson. It's exactly what he didn't want. He's going to have to make a move stick quite early here, or he's going to come under pressure. He is under pressure. He's lost another place as Robinson. This is exactly what he didn't want. He didn't need. He didn't want to get involved with Nat Johnston and some of those drivers around 3rd, 4th, 5th. And all of a sudden he's got a big job on his hand as he'll be watching the likes of Oscar Walsh and Ewan Scott just start to disappear at the front of this field. The other driver just to keep an eye on at the moment is the 3rd place of Benjamin Baker, because he's up there or thereabouts. So let's go back to the front 2. Can Ewan Scott find a way past Oscar Walsh whilst he's close enough, because he hasn't really had the pace to stay with him in the previous races? Who are our big winners and losers on the first lap? Well, Bailey Wolf, who I spoke to on the dummy grid, lost 3 places in that one. Oscar Cole's made 4 places, so Oscar Cole up from 10th to 6th. And going very nicely indeed. Oliver Harrison behind him as well has made a couple of places. So Walsh and Scott, 1st and 2nd. There's not actually that much between them. He's not cruising away at the moment, is he? Oscar Walsh. Ewan Scott in 2nd place. There's about a car length between them. Then Baker. And then Johnston. And then Robinson. Just going back to the start, looked really hesitant. Jack Robinson, almost like he didn't trust the wheels underneath him to get him into that corner if he was really aggressive on the start. And just as he had that moment of hesitation, Nat Johnston was around and Baker went round the outside and was a little bit braver into the S's. And the result of that is that Baker is up into 3rd, and although Robinson is now back up ahead of Johnston into 4th, he's still giving track position away to the front 2. Now this is a good lap from Oscar Walsh. He's managed to put maybe another half a car length between himself and Ewan Scott. Baker, Robinson, Johnston, Oscar Cole, Oliver Harrison. Harley Drake is now into 8th, ahead of Bailey Wolf. Lucas Esser is in 10th. Then Cruz Dalton, Ethan Whitlam. Dorian Malek is 13th. Daxton Groves has made a place ahead of Oscar Roach into 17th. So then, some support for Ewan Scott from Alicia Palmowski on YouTube. Alicia Palmowski, a graduate of this championship, gone on to have a very impressive debut, it has to be said, in the Ginetta Junior Championship last weekend, or the weekend before. A great indicator of the sort of places that this championship can take young drivers, as we've got a mechanical flag for Ashton Redpath, the number 105. The back of the field anyway is Ashton. So top rookie at the moment is Bailey Wolf, 9th place, but he's got Dalton Cruz within touching distance. So let's go back to our front two. Oh, there's a retirement. Oh, that's the mechanical, is it? That's the 105 of Ashton Redpath. Got a mechanical for Lewin Aid as well. So one of the drivers who's had a lot of support on social media today, Lewin. But another tough race for young Lewin Aid. He's got a mechanical flag, the number 112. So something not quite right with that car that needs to be returned to the pits and repaired, replaced. Okay, so front two. Now, how do you think this is working? Is Ewan Scott sat there thinking, right then, I'm within 2 kart lengths, he's not really hurting me at the moment, he's not really pulling away, I'll sit here for a little bit and see how things develop? Or is Ewan Scott thinking, I really can't hold on to this driver at the moment, I am pushing like mad just to stay in touch? Interesting, although he's a lot closer than he has been on previous laps, and there's the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th, and this will do Jack Robinson no good at all. He'll be fuming, I'm sure, to have to be squabbling over 3rd, 4th and 5th, where we usually associate him with the top end of the circuit. We usually associate him with race wins and going for the lead. The lead is between 2, and if you just look back to the leaders at the moment, I think that Ewan Scott is as close as he's ever been. I wonder what they did to just get a little bit more for Ewan Scott, as Ewan Scott goes to the outside over start finish. This is for the lead then. Over start finish they go, and down towards Billy's blind. Will he have a look down the inside? This is close, but here he goes to the inside. Ewan Scott then into the S's. Is the contact between the two of them? They head up to the S's. He's not quite got the line on the inside. He takes a huge amount of curb. He does manage to get through. They both manage to get through. Good indicator from about Oscar Walsh's mentality. Oscar Walsh was not willing, was not happy, was not accepting of letting Ewan Scott attack him for the lead. He held on to it by his fingernails as they went through Billy's blind. We've got a black flag for Lewin Aid. I would imagine that's because he hasn't come into the paddock. Although I think he's just come in now. Oh no, he's just coming round again. So Lewin Aid will get a black flag this time. I assume that's because the mechanical problem is not fixed. He waves to the official to acknowledge the flag. Here is the battle for the lead, and we haven't seen this yet today, have we? We haven't seen the DRS62s in a real tight squabble for the major placings. All of a sudden, we are. These two are close. There's a great battle going on behind. What's happened to Jack Robinson? Lost a couple of places all the way back to 7th, going from bad to worse for our DRS plate holder, Jack Robinson. So we've got a battle for 1st and 2nd. We've got a battle between Baker and Johnston for 3rd and 4th. Oscar Cole's up to 5th. Harley Drake, what a good drive again, up into 6th place at the expense of Robinson. Bailey Wolf is still the top rookie, and he's got a little bit of breathing space between himself and Cruz Dalton as well. So then, where is Daxton Groves? What a drive that is. Just look down my screen to see who was making the biggest inroads. Daxton Groves has gone from the back of this field to 10th. Absolutely flying is Daxton Groves at the moment. And receiving some encouragement from Nicola on Facebook as well. Well, he's doing the job for you, Nicola, at the moment. The number 9. What's his next target? So Daxton Groves' next target is Jack Robinson. So Daxton Groves, his next target is Jack Robinson. We'll keep an eye on him. How far away is he? They're just coming over start-finish at the moment. I can see the number 6 of Oliver Harrison going through. Then Robinson. I wonder if Robinson's got some sort of problem. To be fair, Daxton has got a big job on his hands to catch Jack Robinson, because the gap's some 3 seconds between him and Robinson in front. I think Robinson's got some sort of problem. I wonder how serious the problem is. Will he get round for the duration? He's sort of waving his arms around. He's got some sort of mechanical issue there, hasn't he? Jack Robinson, so one of the early title favourites, told us on the grid he was expecting to be there or thereabouts. He's got a problem, and this is going to cost him in the early stages of the Daniel Ricciardo Series. Remember, he could drop a final. You can drop the final, but he certainly wouldn't want to be dropping the first one if you could possibly help it. So here's the battle for the lead. 12 minutes, a long time for these young drivers to navigate their way around. Fastest lap of the race is Ewan Scott's. Lucas Esser is up a place into 14th, Oscar Roach down to 15th, and then Dorian Melek is up to 18th. They're the only movers on the previous lap. Here is your battle for the lead. A little bit narrower, isn't he, Ewan Scott? Generally tends to go a little bit narrow. Interesting to see the different lines that drivers take, the different options around these circuits. Good drive as well from Nat Johnston. He's put himself in a fairly safe 3rd place. I'll tell you what has happened in the last lap. Oscar Walsh has just turned the screw a little bit. Just put together a couple of really good corners. He put 1/4 of a second between himself and Ewan Scott on that last lap, with a stunning first sector as well on this lap. Is this the move from Oscar Walsh, just to pull himself away from Ewan Scott? Let's see how Sector 2 looks. They've pretty much matched each other in Sector 2, but for the lap, Walsh has taken at least another 1/10 of a second, surely. Yeah, new fastest lap of the race so far, 45.8 for Oscar Walsh. 45.9 last time round, but the fastest first sector. Now, Scott just come back at him a little touch in the last couple of corners. Seems to be less than a cart length in it between them, doesn't it? So good response from him. So every time you think that Oscar Walsh has done enough and he's away, just pegs him back a little bit, just reminds him that he's still there. There's no battle really for 3rd and 4th now. Still one going on for 5th, 6th and 7th with Cole, Bailey Wolf. What a super drive from that young man. The pink helmet of Bailey Wolf. The DRA plate holder. He's currently fending off the 6th seed from last year's championship, Oliver Harrison. That's got to be a shout for driver of the day for the DRA plate of Bailey Wolf. And where is Jack Robinson? Still in 9th place. What was his last lap? Yeah, he's running about a second, 1.2 seconds slower than the race leaders. Here are the race leaders, and they are having a fight, aren't they? 45 seconds to go, plus a lap. Walsh leads, Scott is second. The green helmet of Oscar Walsh, the white and blue of Ewan Scott, down towards, with 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go then. 28 seconds plus that one final lap, 2 to go. Where will the move come? I am absolutely convinced there will be a move from Ewan Scott, but when and where will it come? Will it be here on the way into the right-hander at the hand hairpin? No, it won't. Or will it? A little bit wide from Ewan Scott. Oscar Walsh holds on. Still got half a cart length of security, has Oscar Walsh. There's a back marker in play as well here. There is a back marker that they could hit on the final lap. There will be, of course, blue flags, I'm sure, for this back marker, although we'd like to see them now, I'm sure, at post 1. We're not going to. Here come the leaders. Can we have some blue flags? That would be lovely. Oh, now to the inside he goes. The back marker's going to come right into play. He's gone for it. Down the inside. They're going to hit the back marker in the S. Is the worst possible place to hit a back marker. They go through. It's Ewan Scott who has made it stick into Billy's blind. You can't wave a yellow and a blue. What are they meant to do? The marshal on the way into the hand hairpin was waving a yellow and a blue flag. What does that mean? Anyway, as all that's been happening, Oscar Walsh has retaken the lead. Oh, there could be some questions asked about this. I'm not sure what I would have done as a driver if I'd have seen those two flags. A blue flag to say overtake the back marker, a yellow flag to say don't overtake. Anyway, down the hill they come. It's going to be Oscar Walsh. It's going to be Oscar Walsh. It is Oscar Walsh as he goes through to win the grand final for the DRS62's. Ewan Scott is in second place. Nat Johnston, super drive from Nat Johnston, up into third for the podium. Benjamin Baker finishes in fourth. Oscar Cole, yes, does finish in fifth. Bailey Wolf, super drive, really, really top drive from that young man. The top rookie as well is Bailey Wolf. Oliver Harrison is seventh. Harley Drake is eighth. Jack Robinson is ninth. Daxton Groves finishes another top drive. Daxton Groves into the top 10. Well, that was a bit strange, wasn't it? A little bit strange in terms of some flag waving. I'm not sure what effect it would have had on Ewan Scott as they went into the paddock corner, the last lap. For those of you who are watching this on a replay or on YouTube, just wind it back and watch that last lap again and just unpick the bones out of that, because Ewan Scott had found a way through the S's and then lost it on the way down to, lost the lead on the way down to the right-hander at the Han hairpin. But under some weird flags. I wonder if it'll be reviewed. I wonder if the officials will take the chance to review that and just see what bones, if any, need to be picked out of it. Wow. So we haven't really had that drama today. We've become accustomed to it here at the Daniel Ricciardo Series. We haven't really had it, but we have had it now. Next up, and if that's anything to go by, this could be a cracker. The DRS125, they are on the grid. They are due off in around 2 minutes, so we won't head down there and speak to them. Here is the, oh, let's have a look at this then. A little bit of contact. Ewan Scott to the inside. They come across the back marker. Goes a little bit wide. And then Oscar Walsh. Now, there's a yellow and a blue. So what are they meant to do? So he goes a little bit wide down the inside. Oh, he ran a little bit wide, did Ewan Scott. I wouldn't want to be an official. I wouldn't have a clue what to do with that. I've been in this sport for 25 years. I don't think I've ever seen that. And welcome back, everyone, to the trophy presentation for round one of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Clay Pigeon. We will kick right off with the DRS 100B final, that opportunity for the drivers who didn't quite make it through to the A final, but what we did see was a super drive from the winner, a gap of over 22 seconds in the end from our B final winner, number 160, Freddie Farrell. And the DRS62s then, so split this year to incorporate the Academy top three as well, those drivers undertaking their first season in the Daniel Ricciardo Series. So third place of the Academy drivers, a 12th place finish overall for Jensen Woodhouse. In second place, 11th overall, second of the Academy drivers, number 64, Cruz Dalton. And today's Academy winner, 6th place overall, a fantastic drive from the DRA plate, Bailey Wolf. Ladies and gentlemen, your DRS Academy top three.
feedback. He's saying it's off because of the feedback, it's down because of the feedback. Yeah.
On to our DRS Supers then. In third place, number 5, Nat Johnston. And a battle that we hadn't really seen all day until it came down to the last couple of laps. And it could have swung either way with a couple of hairy moments, including some back markers as well. But second place today, our number 4 of Ewan Scott. And our Super DRS62 winner at round 1 here at Clay Pigeon, number 3, Oscar Walsh. Put your hands together for the DRS62 Super Top 3.
Boys, thank you.
On to our juniors then, the DRS 100s, and we start with our top rookies. Some really excellent performances from the rookie drivers, in particular this driver who was excellent in the heat and the pre-final and managed to get on top of all the other rookies in terms of placings in the main final as well. Our rookie of the day is number 162, Cassidy Southall. Well done, Cassidy. And the DRS 100 top 3, another excellent race from our DRS 100s. In third place, the number 128 of Oscar Walmsley Jones. In second place, number 154 of Tristan Powell. And once he got out front, he was the dominant driver of the DRS 100s. It's an initial championship lead and a first win of the season for Maximilian Salarski. Our DRS 100 top 3, ladies and gents.
What else are missing there? The same as second, Mark Lawrence. What else are missing?
We've got rookie, DRS 125 top rookie.
There isn't one, is there?
There's another one. No, there's not. No.
Okay.
So on to our DRS 125s to close the show. In third place, came on really strongly at the end as well, the DRS play of Firas Bilbezi. In second place, also taking home our Masters Award as well for the day, number 7, Mark Lawrence. And today's winner, another dominant performance, gap of over 6 seconds to everybody else. Our winner today for the DRS 125s, number 5, Oliver Owen. Our DRS125 drivers are top 3, everybody. And that's it from us today here at Clay Pigeon, where we've completed round 1 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series. In just 3 weeks' time, we'll be heading north and a little bit east to Wilton Mill for round 2. We'll see you then. He goes, there's a little bit of contact between the two of them. Oh, there's contact, and there's contact between Cheryl Paul and Campbell Pilly.